Okay, perfect. So welcome everybody to the Study Abroad in Japan information session. It's wonderful to have you here today. To start with introductions, my name is Rachel Rigoli, and I am one of the advisors in the Study Abroad office. And I am responsible for UCAP and OAP programs in Japan. And we have another advisor named Andra who handles our global exchange programs. And I will be talking about the global exchange in Kyoto during this presentation as well. And that's me in Miyajima a while back with my daughter, Karis. She's a graduate at UC Irvine. She is actually on JET right now, living in Kanazawa. So if any of you are interested in applying for JET, it's a government teaching program. After you graduate, I learned a lot through her. So I'd be happy to share what I learned with you if you'd like to reach out through VAC. So I just have a few basic points I want to make. Hopefully you have gone to the Get Started information sessions, which are 30-minute overviews of how to study abroad. And that session covers sort of the basics. It goes through the program types, how financial aid works, how to choose a program. But I do want to make sure we all start with some basic information and things that you should know as we start this, go through this process and I go through the session today. So with study abroad, we want to make sure that you're not delaying your graduation. So we want to make sure that you're satisfying UCSD requirements. Now, if you've completed all your requirements and you just want to go to Japan and you need units, or you don't even need the units, but you could graduate early, but you don't want to. But we just want to make sure that you understand that, the idea is that if you have major requirements or GE requirements, or you need units towards graduation, that you would take those courses in Japan and substitute them out for what you might normally take at UC San Diego. So you're going to be working with your academic advisors here at UCSD to coordinate to make sure that the courses that you would choose and enroll in Japan, can fulfill requirements that you would like them to fulfill. So the idea is that you replace the classes that you might take here and you get credit for those requirements by taking those courses abroad in Japan instead. Some departments will pre-approve classes. They may have a pre-approved list on your department's website. So make sure you look at your major departmental website to see if they have a study abroad page and if they have a list of pre-approved classes. Some departments require you to meet with the advisor and then you petition the courses when you get back. I also want to mention that you should plan ahead. It's important that you think about the courses that you would want to take in Japan. So you may be a STEM major and maybe some of the classes are hard to get in Japan. And so maybe you want to save GE requirements for your studies in Japan. So plan ahead, and it's also important to be flexible. And I'm going to talk about course offerings in a few slides. So I just want to say, be flexible because, you may not find exactly all the types of courses that you need and want in Japan. Also, I always mention this, you're not going to pay double tuition. I have students ask me this all the time. Am I going to pay UC San Diego and pay, the study abroad program? No, you're going to only pay, tuition one time. You're not going to be paying UCSD and your study abroad provider. So it's not double tuition. And then I did want to mention, and I'll be talking about financing your study abroad later on in the presentation, about that financial aid can be used for study abroad, and it varies depending on the term that you go. So if you go summer versus during the academic year, and then the type of program, but as long as you're getting academic credit, then you can use financial aid. So here is a list of the UC Education Abroad partner institutions in Japan. And just to, explain UCAP for those of you who are just getting started on your study abroad journey. UCAP stands for the University of California Education Abroad Program. And UCAP is the official UC exchange program. So it's like you've never left UC San Diego. You're going to get UC units, you're going to get UC grades that go into your GPA here at UCSD. You pay your UC tuition, and everything is very, very streamlined. So it's UCAP is only open to UC students. So it doesn't matter which UC campus that you're on, you're going to have the same program options in Japan, and you have to be a UC student in order to be eligible to go on a UC EAP program. So here's a map of Japan, and it shows you the different locations that we go to. So you can see we have an exchange agreement with Tohoku University in Sendai. We have several locations in Tokyo that we partner with different universities, Yokohama, Kyoto, and Osaka as well. And EAP tends to partner with the top tier universities in Japan. So a couple other points before I get into some specifics of the different programs that are available through UCAP. None of the EAP programs in Japan require that you have a prior knowledge of Japanese. So the courses that will, that are offered, there are going to be courses offered in English. So we don't expect you to be fluent in Japanese in order to study abroad there. And I often get this question about eligibility requirements, because when you look at the UCAP Japan program pages, it's going to tell you what the GPA requirement is and the class standing requirement is. And the GPA requirement is at the time of application, and we expect you to maintain that GPA through departure. And this GPA requirement is set by the host university in Japan. So there's not a lot of flexibility there. Class standing is by departure. So if you have advanced standing, maybe your first year, but you came in with a lot of units, we want to know what your unit value is by departure and if you meet the required class standing. So it's not how many years you've been at UCSD, it's by total units, and it's by departure. When I talked about flexibility, the reason why I brought that up is courses in English can be somewhat limited in Japan. And you have to understand, you're going to be studying abroad in a non-English speaking location, and the universities in Japan are dependent on their faculty feeling comfortable in teaching college level courses in English. So you may not see, and you definitely will, actually, I'm going to say you definitely will not see the same number of courses offered in Japan that you would see in the class schedule here at UCSD. It's just going to be the way it is. If you're not finding the kinds of courses that you need or want, then I would in the programs in Japan, then I would probably recommend that you look at an English speaking location, or a location that may just have more English course offerings. But you're going to have to be flexible and creative depending on your major in order to make Japan work. If you speak Japanese or you have an advanced level of Japanese, that's going to open up a lot more course offerings to you. So when I say advanced, I usually mean 3 years of university level Japanese or higher. And that would allow you to take courses in Japanese in your major and choose from the regular course catalog that Japanese students at that university are choosing from. And then I also wanted to point out that Japan's academic calendar is different than ours. I don't know if you realize that, but they start their school year in April. So their first semester is April through late July, early August. And so that's their spring semester. And that aligns well with our spring quarter. And it would allow you, if you go on one of the semester-based programs in the spring, it would allow you to just miss one quarter here at UC San Diego, and you would be away part of the summer as well. There are some EAP programs that are offered during the fall that align well with our fall quarter. But just to explain the entire calendar, I'm sorry, taking a step back, their spring semester ends in late July, early August, and their fall semester starts usually in September or October and goes all the way into like February. So depending on the program, the fall semester program may run into our winter quarter. And what that means is if it goes into winter quarter, like February, you won't be able to attend winter quarter here at UCSD. You'll have to plan on missing 2 quarters then. So I'd like to dive into the Tokyo programs. The 2 programs listed here are International Christian University, which we call ICU, and Hitosabashi. And I clumped them together because they're both located in eastern suburbs of Tokyo. International Christian University is historically a Christian university, but you don't need to be Christian or religious to attend ICU. And it is a private university on a quarter system. It's the only partner institution that we have with EAP that is on a quarter system. So their fall and spring quarters at ICU line up well with our academic calendar here at UCSD. You can also attend ICU for a full year if that's something that you're interested in. And ICU tends to have the largest amount of course offerings of all the EAP programs. So I would say if you are struggling on some of the other programs, finding the types of courses that you need or want, definitely look at ICU. And they even have some courses taught in English that are STEM focused. I did want to mention with ICU that their Japanese language courses are intensive. And language is not required on most of the programs through EAP. But if you want to take Japanese on the ICU program, it's going to take up 12 to 15 of your units. And the minimum unit required on this program is 15. Most students take 15 or 16. So if you decide to take Japanese on this program, it's going to take up most of your units. And it almost becomes like a language program. So I always point that out because that's something unique with ICU. If you're an absolute beginner, like you've never studied Japanese, like you haven't done 10A, you are brand new to Japanese, they do have a 5-unit language course. But otherwise, it's sort of students sometimes have to make a decision between taking 3 or 4 classes, maybe for major and GE requirements, or language, and then only being able to maybe take 1 English course, for their major or GE. So that's something I wanted to point out. The other thing that's unique for ICU is they do offer, besides courses taught in English, and then obviously courses taught fully in Japanese, they do offer hybrid classes. So if you're somebody who maybe has, a couple years of Japanese or 3 years of Japanese, and you don't feel ready to take a full load in Japanese, classes in your major or working on GE requirements, you can do classes that are in both languages. And so that's a good way to, ease into that. ICU does require a 3.0 UC GPA, and they do allow sophomores, juniors, and seniors. So this is by departure. Hitotsubashi is not too far from ICU. It's a social science university. It's a public university. It's top tier. It's very well known in Japan. Semester based, and we only offer a spring semester at Hitotsubashi. There's a lower GPA requirement, 2.85 GPA. The courses are going to be in the social sciences mainly. Some unique classes that you may not see here at UCSD would be, law classes. If you're pre-law, you may want to take a look at Hitotsubashi. So the other 2 options in Tokyo are Keio and Wasada universities, and these are both very centrally located within Tokyo. So if you want to be in the heart of Tokyo and you're willing to commit to a full year in Japan, these are 2 great options. Keio and Wasada are top tier universities, just like all the other partner institutions with EAP. And Keio is a public university. They're on a semester system, just like Wasada. And if you pick Keio, you're going to have to choose between 2 tracks. One would be their international programs, and they're going to offer a variety of courses in the humanities and the social sciences. Or the other track is the Faculty of Economics. And the Faculty of Economics offers like business, management, econ courses. And if you choose that track, you're going to take the majority of your courses in that faculty. If you choose the Keio International program, you can still take some classes in the Faculty of Econ, but you're not mandated to take a certain amount. So that gives you a little bit more flexibility. At Wasada, you've got 2 options, the School of Political Science and Economics or the School of International Liberal Studies. And if you pick the School of International Liberal Studies, you do have to take Japanese. On the other programs, you do not, but with that one program, EAP requires that you study Japanese while you're there. So Keio is a 2.85, and then Wasada is a 3.0 GPA. And all the programs in Tokyo allow sophomores to attend. So just to highlight a few things about the Tokyo options, most courses in English are going to be in the humanities and social sciences. I'm going to be talking about the STEM offerings in the next few slides. But ICU and Wasada do offer a few STEM classes taught in English. Taking courses in Japanese is possible if you have a high enough level. It's just not available at Wasada. They're going to expect you to take all your classes taught in English. It's just the way the agreement is set. And then language study, I think I've already mentioned this, is optional, except at Wasada's School of International Liberal Studies. So if you want to go to Japan and practice your Japanese just by living there, but you don't plan to take Japanese language classes formally, we don't require it except on that one program. And then for housing, typically you're going to live in student dormitories. Sometimes they're university owned, sometimes they're privately owned. And I can tell you right now with KU and Wasada, a lot of times there will be a commute. And this is just sort of the way it is. Tokyo is a large, populated city, and it's common for Japanese to have to commute, and it may be an hour or so. So that's something you should be aware of. Hitosabashi and ICU are going to have on-campus or housing very close by. So if that's something that's important to you, definitely take a look at those two offerings. Global Studies through UCAP is a special focus program. The Global Studies program is connected to Meiji Gakuin University, which is in Yokohama, and Yokohama is not very far from Tokyo. We offer a fall and spring semester program, and the fall semester aligns well with our quarter here at UCSD. It's just longer. You're going to be in Japan for a semester length, but you will be back in time for winter quarter. And then obviously the spring semester aligns with our spring quarter and goes into the summer. This program is only open to social science majors, and the focus is global studies. So you're going to see a set of courses that relate to international studies, global studies. And so there may be only like 10 or 12 classes that are offered. There's also going to be classes that focus on, Japanese studies, as well as the Japanese language. So if you're a social science major and you're interested in this topic, take a look at the Meiji Gakuin program. There are cultural classes that are offered through the Meiji Gakuin Tokyo campus. And those classes are like Ikebana, tea ceremony. You do have to commute from Yokohama to that campus if you plan to take any of those classes. And I think I was told it's about $12 US each way on the subway. So it's something you could do. There is an added expense for that. But I have had students do this in the past because maybe they're an ERC student and they need classes for their regional specialization or whatever. So that's something that's open to you. And then the really cool thing, and I don't know exactly, what the current status is, but pre-COVID, the Global Studies program, part of your program fees were doing a field trip as a group to Hiroshima to learn about peace studies. And then Meiji Gakuin had a very active buddy program. So they connected you with Meiji Gakuin Japanese students. So you could get to know, students and not, just hang out with other UC or international students. So they had a very active buddy program, which was very cool. And they had parties and all of that. The Meiji Gakuin program for EAP is a 3.0 GPA. And the housing, you're all going to be living in an apartment building. It's about a 40-minute walk from campus or a short bus ride away. Everybody gets their own room. I think there's like 2 floors of UC students, and there's a cafeteria on the bottom floor. And then in the past, Meiji Gakuin has organized a weekend homestay. So you can stay with a Japanese family, which is a great option. The other program to highlight is the Japanese in Kyoto program. So for those of you who really are focused on learning Japanese, this is an excellent program, and it's our only offering in Kyoto through the EAP program. So we partner with Doshisha University, which is a private university. And the way this program is structured is it's going to be full-time language study. And then you can take 1 to 2 classes that focus on Japanese culture. So that is the structure of the program. It's only offered during the spring semester. So you would leave in late March, early April, and you would finish up late July, early August. And this program has the lowest GPA requirement out of all the EAP programs. It's a 2.5 GPA or higher. And then pre-COVID, EAP arranged for students to live in student residence. I think they were privately run student residents. So if you are interested in studying language, Japanese, and being in Kyoto, this would be the program for you. So in the summertime, EAP does offer an intensive Japanese language program for 12 units. It's 8 weeks long, and it's for beginning Japanese language studies. So if you've done past 10B, then you are no longer eligible for this program. So the requirement is that you have not studied any Japanese and you haven't gone past Japanese 10B. So unfortunately, in the past, there's been an ICU summer program, which is for students with higher level Japanese, like third quarter or higher. And unfortunately, they're not going to offer it for summer 2023. But you can do direct enrollment at ICU in the summer if that's what you want to do. If you want to study Japanese over the summertime, that is available to you. So now I'm going to dive into some of the science and engineering programs. EAP actually is really the only program that I am aware of in Japan that offers STEM programs. So you're really lucky if you're a STEM major and you want to study in Japan, you're really lucky that you have these offerings. So the Osaka Lab Research Program is offered in the summer, the fall, or the spring. And their fall schedule is the traditional Japanese, calendar where it's October to February. So I would say fall is not as popular as the summer or spring. And the students that go on fall are usually like my 5th year science engineering students that, are happy to go into February. They don't need to, they're going to graduate at the end of their study abroad program. So on the Osaka program, you're going to be placed in a lab. It's full-time lab research. That is what you're doing. You're going to lab every day, Monday through Friday. And that's how you're getting your units. And so you have to be an engineering science major to go on this program. And in that resource that I put in the chat at the beginning of the session, I do link to some of the lab research opportunities that have happened in the past. So you can take a look at those. You do have to be a junior or senior by departure, 3.0 GPA, and they do want you to have major foundation courses done. And so that means if you're a first year with junior standing and you haven't started any of your engineering science classes, you need to wait. They want students who are further along in their major classes. If you go abroad in the summer, you're going to get 12 units. If you go abroad in the spring or the fall, you're going to get 21 units for this program. And I have to warn you, the summer program fills quickly, and EAP is changing how they're doing the application. And I'm going to go through that at the very end, later on in the presentation. So if you don't get in for the summer, consider the spring semester if that works for you. So the other STEM option for engineering and science majors is the Tohoku Engineering and Science program. It's a year-long or a spring semester program that aligns with our spring quarter. And this is offered in Sendai, which is called the City of Trees. It's about a 3-hour train ride from Tokyo. And sometimes students will say, oh, I like the Osaka program because it's in Osaka and it's a larger city. I have to tell you, students rave about Sendai. They really enjoy the location and the program. So if you are looking to do research in Japan, give Tohoku Engineering and Science a second look. The difference between this program and the Osaka Lab Research Program is Tohoku Engineering and Science offers not just research, but they also offer courses. So it's going to be a combination of doing research, and you would get 8 to 16 units for research. And you could take classes, and they offer Japanese language. They offer some Japanese culture classes. They offer some STEM classes. I think they have a marine bio class. And then there are some also social science and humanities courses that may be available to you through one of the other departments at Tohoku that are offered in English. So it's going to be a hybrid of research plus classes. I've had students do the year or the spring semester, and they've gone back to Tohoku for their master's degree. I had one student go back and get her PhD there. So it's a really great program. Students pre-COVID, I don't know what this housing situation is now, but they would live in suites where there was and they would have either they would have their own room, and then they would have roommates that were either other UC or international students, and then also local students, Japanese Tohoku students. So there was like a kitchen and a lounge, and I think maybe even a washer dryer, if I remember correctly. So the housing students seem to really like that. And that requires a 2.85 GPA. So it is lower than the Osaka requirement, and you have to have junior standing or senior standing by departure. And then the last program that I would like to talk about is the University of Tokyo Lab Program. This, like Osaka, is a full-time lab research for engineering and science majors. It's summer only, there's limited spots. It will also fill quickly. So summer is very popular for these lab research. If you want to do research abroad and you're not like, I have to go to Japan, there are other research opportunities abroad through EAP. Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, just to name a few, I think Glasgow and Scotland. But if you're wanting to go to Japan and you're wanting to do lab research and you're wanting to go in the summer, you need to be ready to apply. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how to do that. Tokyo requires a 3.3 GPA, junior, senior standing. Also, EAP wants you farther along in your study. So if you're first year, please hold off. Allow the students who are junior and senior who've done significant coursework in their major to apply. And you'll get 7.5 UC quarter units for this program. Last thing I want to mention, it's not great for bio majors. In the past, they've offered botany labs, or if you're, you have an environmental focus in your bio major, that could work. But I usually tell my bio majors to look at Osaka. So I want you to be able to find course information on the UCAP website. And this is just a snapshot of the International Christian University Academics tab. So when you go to the program page, you're going to see an overview. It talks about, the host university and the program, and you're going to see over here on the left-hand side program details. It's really important that you look through this information. You can see the eligibility requirements, the approximate dates. You can read about the housing. There's a cost calculator under the cost tab, so you can actually put your UCSD student, your California resident or not. And it's going to spit out like what your budget would be. So it's really useful to use that cost calculator. But what I want to highlight is the academics tab, because this is where you're going to really spend some time and look at how the program's structured. Do you have to take Japanese? Do they offer Japanese? How many courses are you going to be taking? And then what kinds of courses are offered? And I have here under catalogs and resources, just sort of a snippet, because I wanted to, this is on the academics tab, but I wanted to make sure you all understand it's really important to look at both the UCAP course catalog, which is number 2 here, and the course catalog for the host university. So I'm going to explain the difference. So the host university course catalog will show you what courses they may not have the most up-to-date class schedule, so they may not show fall 2023 or spring 2024, but you're going to be able to see the most recent class schedule. So you can get a general idea of the types of classes that have been offered. And then, they will post the course catalog when it's ready, just like how UCSD posts the class schedule when they have it ready. So you're going to get a general idea of the types of courses that are offered. And then the EAP course catalog is simply a database of courses that have been taken by UC students. So not just UCSD, but all UC students on that program in the last 5 years. And it shows you how many units in the UC system are awarded. So how many UC units you'll get. It tells you if it will be upper or lower division. It gives you a brief course description. It gives you the host university course number. It tells you what department it was taken in. So that's going to give you a lot of information to do some detective work and go between the host university's catalog and looking at what students have taken in the past, whether it was upper or lower division, how many units were awarded, etc. So that's going to be really important when you're doing your research and determining what program may be the best fit for you academically. So I wanted to move on to the Global Exchange Program. Global exchange is a bilateral agreement between UC San Diego and Kyoto University. So we're really lucky to partner with Kyoto University, and they offer fall and spring semester programs. They run on the traditional Japanese academic calendar. So if you pick fall, you will miss 2 quarters here at UCSD. We do allow students to apply for a full year, and they do have a variety of course offerings in English through their International Liberal Arts and Sciences program. So if you go to the Global Exchange page on our website and you click on Kyoto, we link to the course catalog. And they actually offer some STEM classes in the natural sciences. I think they have data science. So take a look at that if that's something that interests you. They do offer Japanese language classes, and there's a lower GPA requirement. You just have to be in good standing here at UCSD. So a 2.0 GPA or higher. You don't have to have studied Japanese. You do need to have junior or senior standing by departure, and you're going to be paying your UCSD tuition. So this is organized by UC San Diego. This is not open to the other UC students like the EAP program options. The one thing I do want to note that's a little bit different than EAP is the credit will come back as will come back as transfer units. So unlike EAP, which are UC units, it's going to be transfer units, and that's not a big deal. You know, you can still petition courses to count for major or GE requirements, just like with EAP, but they're not UC units. They're going to be transfer units. So like if you did AP credit and transferred in, or you went to a community college and you transferred in, that's how it's going to work with Global Exchange. And your advisor for Global Exchange will be Andra. She's wonderful, and she'll walk you through the process and answer any questions you might have about the Kyoto Exchange. So I did want to highlight 2 other UC programs. I don't know if you know about Global Seminars, which are our faculty-led summer programs. And I'm not talking about them in this session today because we don't have any offerings in Japan. But the good news is you can go through UC Davis if you want to go on a faculty-led. And so what this means is you could go abroad with a UC Davis professor, and they have 2 offerings in the summertime. One is focused on design in Japan, and the other is life sciences in Japan. And then they're also offering internships in Japan, business and communication, and engineering and computer science. So if you're interested in any of those topics, or you're interested in an internship, you can go through UC Davis. Their programs are open to non-UC Davis students. And it's going to work very similarly to EAP because it's a UC program. You'll get UC units. The grades will post on your academic history at UCSD. So now I would want to talk about OAP, and OAP stands for the Opportunities Abroad Program, and these are programs outside of the UC system. So it's the umbrella term that we use for, direct enrollment at a university overseas or going through an outside study abroad provider. And so there's a lot of offerings in Japan through OAP, and I just have a few highlighted here. I already mentioned the International Christian University. If you want to do Japanese language study over the summer, you can apply directly to ICU. You're going to pay your tuition to ICU, and then you would get the transfer credit coming back in. So because it's outside the UC system, you'll be paying your tuition directly to the university in Japan or to the outside provider, this outside study abroad provider, and then you're going to transfer the credit back in. And we have a whole process for you to follow and to ensure that you'll get academic credit for UCSD. And you'll petition the courses just like you would with the AP. It's just the units do, it's transfer units instead of UC units. Sophia University and Wasada University direct enrollment, that's quite popular for our students. Sophia has quite a few classes in business and marketing and econ. EAP actually partnered with them years and years ago and no longer does, but I still send students there where they apply directly to Sophia. And then Wasada for OAP is popular because sometimes students just want to go for spring semester, and EAP requires you to go for a full year. So if you want to go to Wasada and you want to just go for a spring term, then we could talk about you doing direct enrollment, and then you're going to pay your tuition to Wasada and apply to them, and then we have paperwork that you would do on our end, but you're not going to pay UCSD during the term that you're abroad. Temple University has a Japan campus. Temple University is an American university located in Philadelphia, and they have a Japan branch campus. and they actually offer internships. They have a lot of classes in English. I think they have a computer science department. So I've had a few students do the Temple University program. Yokohama, there's a provider that we work with called CIS Abroad, and they have a partnership with Meiji Gakuin University as well. And you can basically go directly through CIS Abroad, and I sit with, in classes with UC students on the UCAP program. Why you might want to do that is maybe you're a non-resident student, so out of state or international, and it might be less expensive for you to do it that way. Or maybe I think CIS Abroad has a lower GPA requirement. So it's not a 3.0, it's I think like a 2.7 or something like that. So maybe you don't meet the GPA requirement for UCAP, but you really like the Meiji Gakuin program. That's going to open up the opportunity for you to go through CIS Abroad. CIS Abroad and another organization that we work with called USAC, they have some programs in Kyoto and Osaka. And Kansai Gadai is a study abroad provider, and they're between the two cities, and they have a lot of courses for study abroad students taught in English. And they're one of the few providers that I've seen that actually has some art classes. So if you're thinking about art, that could be a good option for you. And then obviously Nagasaki, Akita, Nagoya, there's other locations that you can go. In that link, and I'm going to put it in the chat again, just in case there are students that joined a little bit later. You'll see my OAP Japan chart in there. So I linked to it. It's a PDF file. So I just want to mention, with financing your study abroad, we don't want cost to be an issue for you to study abroad. We want to make sure it's accessible to all students. And so I wanted to let you know that we do have an in-house financial aid advisor. His name is Eduardo, and he will be available for drop-in advising on Fridays from 10 to 11:30. Once you've identified a program and you're further along in the process, you can actually schedule an appointment with him and go through your financial aid package and go through the budget, and he can talk to you about how your financial aid would work. Also, there's a lot of study abroad scholarship money. So in the past, we've had students get up to $900,000 in study abroad scholarships and special grants for study abroad. And there's some that are unique to Japan. So don't assume that you can't afford study abroad. We are here to work with you to make sure that you can make it possible. So what's next? So I went through a lot, and I know I went through it quickly. And again, I'm going to have Q&A at the end to answer any questions you might have. So the next step would be to research your program options. So I went through, EAP, OAP, all of that. I provided links in that Google Doc, and I will be providing back contact records after this session with links as well. Go on our website, start reading about the programs, get on the EAP website, look at courses, look at cost, read about the programs, and then, hopefully you can make a decision on a program that's a good fit for you, and then start the application process. Here is information on how to apply. It's just a little snapshot from our website. Depending on what program you decide on, if you expand the drawer, it's going to give you steps on how to apply. We are working with students on applications for summer 2023 all the way through spring of 2024. So if you're looking at going during that time frame, this is the time that you're going to pick a program and start the application process. If you're first year and you're not going for a while, then you have some time. This is the time to start planning, saving certain classes, identifying programs that might work for you. And then, usually you apply 6 months to 9 months in advance. So if you're going to go later, like let's say you're going to go in 24, 25, you'll be applying next year. So I just wanted to highlight a few deadlines. Global exchange, you have plenty of time if you're interested in that Kyoto University program. I did want to mention that is an impacted program. There are limited spots. So if you are interested in Kyoto after this session, make sure you reach out back to our advisor for global exchange, Andra, and let her know, because she does have a Google form that she tracks students who are interested in the exchange program. But you can see the deadlines here. And then for those Davis programs, I'm not sure exactly when they're going to open their application, but they usually do it on rolling first come, first serve. So you will definitely want to go on the UC Davis Summer Abroad page and take a look at their information. They always offer info sessions. They have a program coordinator for each of their programs that you can ask application questions. And then I'm here to help with our process. But any questions you have about applying to UC Davis and, does the program normally fill and when and all of that, you can certainly reach out to them. OAP deadlines vary. They're usually later than EAP deadlines. They're usually sometime like if you want to go summer 2023 or fall 2023, they're usually going to be sometime in February or March. So you've got some time there. And then this is where I want to get into the EAP application process. So just bear with me because it's a little bit confusing for students going summer who want to go summer 2023, fall 2023, or during the academic year. So what EAP is doing for this group, these programs for Japan, is they are doing rolling deadlines. And they are going to open up their application, the UCAP application portal on November 1st at 9 a.m. And they are going to use a timestamp, and that's how they are accepting applications. So if you know you want to apply for a Japan program, you need to be ready because all Japan programs are what are considered capacity constrained. We have a certain amount of spots that have been given to us by the host universities in Japan. And once the program fills, EAP is going to close it, and that's it. So when you apply for EAP, we have our instructions that are very clear on our website. We actually have a 10 steps flyer that you can follow. And I will link to this in the back records. But you can already start your Tritons Abroad application. So you're going to work on 2 applications, Tritons Abroad. That's already opened. It opened on October 1st. So you can get that done. And then you need to be ready on November 1st. So you're going to create your application in the UCAP portal prior to November 1st and have it all ready to go. And if you start an application for a Japan program, it won't let you move forward, but it's going to let you see the application instructions. And but what I'm telling students is you can certainly start an application for another program that opened on October 1st and look around. Don't submit your application, but you can start one, see what the application looks like, what you're going to have to fill out so that you're ready to go. Because I can tell you right now, those lab research programs, I'm guessing they're going to fill on November 1st, and they may fill right away. And so you want to be ready to go. The other thing is transfer students. If there's any transfer students attending this presentation today, I know you don't have a UC GPA. They will allow you to go ahead and apply on November 1st, but you will have to meet the eligibility GPA at the end of fall quarter when grades post. So just know we're going to use your fall quarter grades to determine eligibility. And if you're a first year and you have advanced standing, or you're applying for a program that allows sophomores, you're going to have to wait and apply once fall grades are posted. On our EAP application deadlines page, which I believe I provided a link in that Google Doc, we have a status column, and we will let students know if something fills. So if it says program filled, then you're going to have to look for a different option or consider applying for a spring semester program, which is going to be a set deadline. It's not going to be rolling. So I'm guessing there's going to be some questions about this, but that's how the process is going to work for summer, fall, and year programs for EAP. Also, I want to let you know that we have advising. We have an in-person front desk. It's right next to Center Hall. It's this, one of these original buildings. You can come in and talk to one of our global educators that works at the front desk. We also have a virtual front desk. We are doing Zoom drop-in advising. Here are the dates and times, 3 times a week. And so if you come in and you say you want to talk about Japan or meet with a Rachel, you're going to get me. And then if you have a quick question, feel free to use the VAC to submit a question as well. So the last thing I want to mention is we're going to be closed on October 17th because we're having our big annual study abroad fair. It's called Expo. UCAP is actually coming down from Santa Barbara. They're going to have a table. So if you want to ask them questions in person, we're going to be around in person, and it's in the town square. Also, study abroad providers will be there. So like CIS Abroad, I think they're going to be there. So if you want to ask them about their study abroad programs in Japan. So come by town square 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. To check out the different program options, talk to us, ask any questions that you might have. So the last thing I wanted to mention is we have a really fun video on our YouTube channel. I'm not going to play it because it is 5 minutes long, but I did provide it in that Google Doc. And if you have a chance, in the video, we interview returnees who did programs in Japan. We have a student who went on the Tohoku program, a student who did the Osaka Japanese language program. And so it's a really well done video if you have a chance to watch it. So now I am going to stop sharing my screen and I am going to open up to questions. I believe you can unmute yourself. If you don't feel comfortable asking the question and you want to put it in the chat, that's okay. And I'll just hang tight to see if any questions that you might have, pop into your head. And if you don't have any questions, thank you for attending. Feel free to sign off and, come and see us at Drop-in Advising if anything comes up. You're welcome. Thank you for attending. Thank you, everybody. Ryan, you attended a little late. We did record the session. Thank you, everybody, for coming. So David asked, if I apply and find out my financial aid is not preferable, would I still be able to back out? That's a good question. That's one thing that I did not address, David, is there is a withdrawal deadline. So if you determine that this is not going to work for you financially, you can withdraw without penalty by the deadline that's listed on the EAP website or on the EAP application. So that is open to you. I believe we're going to be charging the $100 administrative fee, which is